There's the teams that are the obvious buyers, and there's the teams that are the obvious sellers. The buyers are probably Chiefs, Cowboys, Eagles, Jets. A lot of people say Jets are going to buy Lions, Niners. The sellers probably Denver, Giants, Panthers, Patriots, Titans. If you're looking for a DB among those sellers, okay, so Denver's got Sertan. Giants, you mentioned Adoree Jackson. Panthers have Dante Jackson and Jeremy Chin potentially available. And
JC
who
Horn, as
knows?
you talked about, but he's been injury prone.
JC Horn is really attractive player, but how healthy is he? Um, are the Patriots going to move Duggar, the safety? I don't know if they have a corner to move. They actually just picked up a corner. And then there's Sean Murphy Bunting in Tennessee. Tennessee's already moved Byard. Rand Carthon and John Lynch are tight. Rand was here in San Francisco. Tennessee has three players that are really intriguing that I think could solve the 49ers' problems. Sean Murphy Bunting. Now, he's not Sertan, but he is a 26-year-old corner with some ability. And then they also have Azeez Al-Shaair, who obviously would help the Niners immensely. He knows this defense, and he got a pay upgrade. But man, when you look at how much the Niner linebackers mean to their run D, maybe reacquiring Azeez would make sense. The other name is Arden Key, who was a big part of the Niners NASCAR package. And if you're looking for a defensive end, but you don't want to pay a premium price, in draft pick compensation, maybe a guy like Arden Key. What do you think of the Niners and Titans hooking up on a deal that involves multiple players? I mean, and of those corners, obviously Sertan's the number one, but who would be the number two choice if they couldn't get Sertan, or if Denver decided, you know what, this guy's one of the best corners in football, let's keep him?
I was a big fan of Murphy Bunting when he was playing for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I thought that he was a critical member of that team that won the Super Bowl a few years ago, and that back end, that secondary was really good at the time. And I do think that it's not talked about enough having a relationship with another organization, because that's easy contact. That's an easy phone call, and you're not having to go through maybe some difficult communication elements in order to get a deal done. Tennessee, I think, is clearly selling right now. There's rumors that they'll trade away a Sean Murphy Bunting. Derrick Henry could be on the block. They're taking calls on DeAndre Hopkins. Treylon Burks coming out of Arkansas. I kind of looked at him as a Deebo Samuel light. I'd like him if Deebo was out for a long time, but I think that positional clash doesn't really make sense. Sean Murphy Bunting, I like. If you want to go lower tier with another organization that you have contact with and familiarity with, Steven Nelson with the Houston Texans also isn't a terrible player. Started off with the Pittsburgh Steelers, went to the Philadelphia Eagles for a year. He's been with the Houston Texans the last two. He's a pretty solid cornerback who can play outside and on the inside as well, that I might kick the tires on too. And he's not going to cost you all that much, if anything.
So a lot of interesting ideas here. One of them, this is from Luke Luna, who says, Larry, question. Cine from the Vikings 2 years ago was, late first round pick. He's coming off his broken leg. He's been a healthy scratch for the Vikings. I'm a big Cine fan. I loved him in college, but I don't know that he necessarily solves their problems. Just because I think they like a Fonga. I think they like Gibson. I know they like Jair Brown. George Odom is their fourth safety. He's a special team star. So I don't know that safety per se is the move. I guess the question is, how do you view Jeremy Chin? Is Jeremy Chin, and how does Steve Wilks view Jeremy Chin? We know he's got a quad. We know he's coming back. The talk is that he's totally gettable and maybe would only require a fourth and a sixth round pick. I love this guy with the Salukis. I mean, I know he's versatile. In some ways, I look at Chin as a really attractive piece. Here's why. The trade deadline's Halloween. You got all of November, all of December, all of January before the Super Bowl. So you got 3 months of football, and you don't know where your next injury is coming. Yep. And a guy like that can help you at slot corner. He can help you at either safety spot. Heck, in a pinch, he can help you at linebacker. And to me, after watching Miami and Philly the other night, it's pretty clear that if you're going to win the Super Bowl, you're going to have to really do a job on Dallas Goedert and Travis Kelce, because those two guys are difference-making tight ends. And I just see Jeremy Chin as a guy who could maybe slide in for Oliver, maybe really do a great job on Goddard and Kelsey. You know, I know it's weird how I thought this guy was like one of the greatest young players in the league a couple of years ago. And maybe Wilkes feels the same way. Their new defensive coordinator has not been able to utilize him this year at all. He's almost like seems like persona non grata there in Carolina, and I don't get it. This guy's 6'3", 220, 4.4 speed, 41-inch vertical, all kinds of production, very versatile, scheme versatile. What are you hearing about Chin, and what do you think of him as a neutralizer for Goddard and Kelsey?
Yeah, going back to Lewis Cine, I like them coming out of Georgia too, but I think the Vikings the last couple of years have really struggled to draft and developed members in that secondary. Him, Cam Dantzler, they've kind of been underwhelming a little bit. So much about playing cornerback and safety, in my eyes, on top of everything else, obviously, is a confidence issue, right? And I'm not sure if those players are lacking confidence right now. And if you're kind of bringing in damaged goods for a player who's kind of down on himself in a secondary where if you get picked apart, we see it with Emmanuel Forbes right now with the Washington Commanders. Like, they're really high on the kid. A.J. Brown just dominates him. Now he's on the bench. And is he going to be able to recover from that? When I've watched Cam Dantzler, Lewis Cine, I worry about that confidence. With Jeremy Chin, I don't, because he's been in the league for a really long time and he's played at a really, really high level. And when you think about the group of 6 schools outside of the Power 5 that do a really good job in some of the small schools across the country of developing NFL talent, Southern Illinois is one of them. They have a lot of players who are ready to play. It's kind of like in that mold of Appalachian State, right? Where you just know that they go to a program and they understand the nuances of football and they're just a dog once they get to the NFL level. The tail off of Jeremy Chin has been interesting. When he came into the league, everybody's like, man, the Panthers got him in the second round. This dude is a stud. Why I like him: safety, nickel, slot, versatility. It does allow you to guard tight ends. I'm wondering if defending the tight end position is becoming a problem. TJ Hawkinson didn't do anything all year for the Vikings, didn't do anything last year. Our Vikings host at Chat Sports was saying this is one of the worst contracts that you could have envisioned for Minnesota. He looked like a stud in that game last week against San Francisco. And, you made a point about the linebacker position. You're not sure where an injury is going to come. I love Dre Greenlaw. I think that him and Fred Warner are one of the best linebacking duos in the game. They really do give you flashes of back in the day when you had Patrick Willis and Navarro Bowman. But if you look at Dre Greenlaw's career, he has been injured a little bit. So Azeez Al-Shaair is a player who has that great sideline to sideline range, who might be able to help you in covering those tight ends. Jeremy Chin, again, the versatility I think is really important. If you want to go splash type of trade acquisition, you go Budda Baker. But I think there's bad blood between San Francisco and Arizona right now inside the division. I think that Jonathan Gannon is really trying to implement his culture, which, by the way, I give him credit for doing, because I thought the Cardinals were going to be awful, and they've been surprisingly very competitive this year with the roster that's not all that good. But if you can find a way to swing a move for a Budda Baker, a Jeremy Chin, again, you have to consider who you're going up against, not just in the NFC with Philadelphia, but the teams that you're going to be facing potentially in the Super Bowl, a Kansas City or another team in the NFC that you have to worry about defending. And you just can't have weaknesses, because at that point of the season, those weaknesses will get exposed, just like Philadelphia really did expose the Niners in the NFC Championship game in a way in the trenches that we didn't really see all last year, especially with Philadelphia's run game too, with that Eagles offensive line.